Welcome back to Community Design Review, where we review some of the best cards from the custom Magic community. Let's jump right in. Our first meme card this week is Hunted Emerical. It is a 15/15 legendary creature Eldrazi for 7. It has flying, protection from instants and sorceries, and when Hunted Emerical enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 15 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens with reach. This is a play on two different things in one. The Hunted cycle from original Ravnica, which were overpowered creatures that gave your opponents creatures that could sort of play into your creature's weaknesses, and then also the idea that 15 squirrel creature tokens that have reach or flying could kill Emerical. I mean, my first thought is play this, the next turn you go into attack, and they block with their 15 squirrel tokens with reach, and you kill one of them in response, and then they lose all of them, and now you just have a 15/15 flying. But that's not probably what would happen. I mean, the reality is you play this, and then on their next turn, your opponent attacks you with 15 1/1s and kills you. I'm hesitant to say that it's fair because it's extremely swingy. It basically creates a situation in which you're strongly favored to win if you don't just lose. You could combo this with something like Karavek the Spiteful or Virulent Plague to just kill all of the squirrels. You would definitely want to have some plan for how you're going to deal with the squirrels. Our next meme card for the week is Friendship is Magic. It costs green-white for an enchantment. Allies you control are treasures in addition to their other types. Well, that's cute. I mean, I like it. First of all, my friends and family can attest that I love allies. Allies were the first deck I ever had, and despite being terrible, it was the scourge of my high school. Here's the thing though, this card doesn't do anything. So let's ignore the rules implications of giving an artifact subtype to a creature that is not an artifact. In Magic, there used to be types that intrinsically did something, had some effect. Walls did not have the ability to fender. It was just understood that if a creature is a wall, it cannot attack. Those sorts of implicit rules based on card types has been pretty much removed from the game. The only place that I think it still exists is the basic lands. If a card is an island, it automatically taps for blue mana, and the same with all the rest of them. So making a creature into a treasure doesn't actually give them the ability to tap and sacrifice to add 1 mana. Although if it did, that would be pretty interesting because allies do have the ability to make tokens, although because treasures need to tap in order to sacrifice, your allies would need to either gain haste or you would just need to wait until your next turn in order to actually be able to use them. And our last meme card for the week is Time Moonwalk. Clearly a play on Time Walk. Costs 1 and a blue, just like Time Walk, for a sorcery, just like Time Walk. Take an extra reverse turn after this one. The reverse turn phase order is ending phase, post-combat main phase, combat phase, pre-combat main phase, beginning phase. Okay, so you take another turn, but it's in reverse order. So is that helpful? First, you get an ending phase, which lets you trigger end of turn effects, which I guess could be useful. Then you get to go to a main phase, play cards, except if you already played cards in your previous turn, your lands will still be tapped. Then you get to attack again, but once again, with creatures that are untapped. Another main phase, and then you have the beginning phase in which you get to untap and draw a card. Evaluating that on the whole, it feels like what this is going to do is draw you another card and untap all your permanents. I would like to try this definitely in an uncube. This could be a lot of fun. On to our black border cards. Number 5 this week is Gate to Anywhere. It's a legendary land. At the beginning of your upkeep, there should be a comma there, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library. When you control 4 or more land cards, there should be a comma there, sacrifice Gate to Anywhere. So assuming that you are playing one every turn, you play this turn 1. Turn 2, you search 1 and play it. Turn 3, you search 1 and play it. Turn 4, you search 1 and play it and sacrifice this. It's going to find you 3 lands at the cost of losing your first land drop. Wizards tries to avoid cards that repeatedly search out lands just so you don't have to keep shuffling. This is still a really cool design. I'm not sure where you would put this because you would want it in a deck that really wants to hit its land drops. So you make sure that you find one every turn. But on the other hand, you're actually missing your first land drop, and that's a pretty high cost for a deck that wants to hit all of its land drops. So definitely an interesting design. I think it's balanced, but it's hard to say what sort of deck it would go in, which honestly makes it a better design. You have to build around it. You have to find a way to make it work, and I really like that. Other than that, there's not too much to say about it, but yeah, cool card. Next up, we have Grand Archivist Esva. It is 2 and a blue for a legendary creature, human wizard. It's a 1/4 that has 3 white-blue, return target saga from your graveyard to the battlefield, 1 black, remove a lore counter from target saga you control, and red-green, put a lore counter on target saga you control. Wow, I do not know how to evaluate this. So this looks like it's meant to be your commander for a 5-color saga deck. Now let me start by saying I love sagas. I think that they're a great innovation, and I would love to see some more designs like this. We haven't really seen much in the way of saga manipulation other than, what was that 2-drop? Keldon Warcaller. So we do have precedence for the third ability. 3 white blue, return target saga from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you're effectively drawing and playing another card, so that should be expensive. As far as balance goes, I think the first and the third ability are pretty balanced. You can pay mana to get a card back. We've seen that plenty of times. Reanimation is something we sort of have a good grasp on, and 5 mana seems like a reasonable amount. Red-green, put a lore counter, okay. That's just going to help you get your saga abilities sooner. The second ability, though, is the sticking point, because this is going to allow you to recur a given ability on a saga over and over and over. Sagas are balanced based on being able to get each of those abilities only once. The moment that you interfere with that and give people the ability to just keep recurring the most powerful modes on their saga, that is really scary. It might need to cost more to remove lore counters from sagas. That said, this is a really interesting space. I'm glad somebody made a card that does this. It's really interesting. The card looks beautiful. It's a really cool design. Our number 3 card for today is Shackled Demon. It costs black for a creature demon. It is a 7/7 trample with Shackled Demon enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. So that's really simple. It's a huge creature for a small cost. However, you need to have the ability to untap it. This is sort of a build around, you know. You could pay 2 mana for a massive creature, but you need to put in twiddle effects and like Vizier of Tumbling Sands and stuff like that is going to help you untap your stuff repeatedly, because you're going to have to untap this every single turn in order to be able to keep using it. Or you could give it Vigilance. Untap it once and give it Vigilance. That would work too. My brother has a Mariki Riberi, Mariah Carey commander deck that's all about tapping and untapping your own creatures. So I think this would fit right at home there. I think this is a very solid design. I don't really have too much else to say about it, but it's a good card. Number 2 card today is Tall Bird. So it's it's a 1/4 for 1 and a white. It's a creature bird with flying and reach. Okay, so all jokes aside, this is an interesting card. 1/4 for 1 and a white is fine. Giving it flying and reach is an interesting choice, but I mean, I guess that's the point. Flying and reach are kind of redundant, but not entirely. Like, there are cards that make a creature lose flying, and if your opponent were to use it, then it would still have reach and still be able to block flying creatures. That said, who's going to use their spell that removes flying on a 1/4? In fact, who even uses spells that remove flying? So I'm not sure what the idea of this is, and part of me just hates it irrationally. I'm not sure what to say about this one. I guess I will say lists of abilities on creatures are not sentences in and of themselves, and so they don't get a period. Whether it is necessary innovation or not, that's up to you. It's an interesting design, I'll give it that. Our number 1 today is, it's a cycle of 1 mana rogues that are working together on a heist. I really enjoy heist stories. Screw you, Rick.
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
But yeah, so this is a really interesting idea because, you know, one of the major plot points of any heist story is you're trying to get together the perfect team, and each person has a specific role in the heist that they're necessary for. They each have their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and so here you're getting together a team of 5 people, they're each in different colors. We have Herschel the Architect, who is a 1/2 for blue, legendary creature, Vidalcan Rogue. At the beginning of your upkeep, there should be a comma there. You may pay blue. If you do, target opponent plays with their hand revealed until your next turn. Okay, so this is the mastermind. Hans the Appraiser is a 1/1 for black, legendary creature, human rogue. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, it should say phase there, you may pay black. If you do, choose a creature. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, choose a non-creature, non-land card name. That player reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name. So he's the inside man. We have Helmet, the Diversion, the 1/2 for green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay green. If you do, target creature must be blocked this turn if able. Okay, so you're helping whichever creature that Hans chose get in for damage. You have Harlan, the Getaway, who is a 2/1 for white. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control become blocked, you may pay white. If you do, do remove target blocked creature you control from combat and untap it. I was wondering about this because with Helmet, you are going to need to send in one of these creatures as a chump attacker, and so you're just committing to one of your creatures dying. But Harlan is the getaway driver. He's going to help you get out of that situation. And Heidi is the pickup, who is a 1/1 legendary creature, Goblin Rogue for red. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay red. If you do, exile target non-creature, non-land card from an opponent's graveyard that was put there from anywhere this turn. During any turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Let me just start by saying, I love the flavor. Herschel comes up with a plan and figures out what you're trying to steal from the opponent. Hans is the one who gets inside and, puts the item in the trash. Heidi picks it up while Helmet diverts attention, and Harlan helps Helmet get out of a scrape. On the whole, I love the flavor. Practically speaking, this is going to be really hard to put together, and for what gain? You are getting to steal one card from your opponent's hand, which is good, but the cost for that is far too high, and I would make it so that Heidi lets you play it on any future turn, although I guess that's more of a Thief of Sanity sort of effect, whereas Heidi is sort of emulating Robber of the Rich. It's epic, it's awesome, I love it. It's not practical. Maybe these guys could all partner with each other, each one naming the next one in a sequence of 5, so you could have all 5 as your commander. That would be pretty cool. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and take a look at the Custom Magic subreddit. We'll be back next Tuesday to look at some more cards.